What should his friend's name be? Has to be a boy. First it's gonna be a girl, but then it made too many complications. That's the boy.
This week, Pete built a nutshell pram. It's probably going to be another week before he finishes it, right? Or maybe 2. No. It's going to be a sailing dinghy, so he's got to finish the inside, some knees and stuff. But here's the first week of it, and hope you enjoy it. Bye. What are these?
Here we are starting a nutshell pram with the molds and the ladder, or the frame that it's going to be built on. It's all secured down and leveled, and center lines put on, and line your center lines up. And we got the plans from Wooden Boat, which made it relatively straightforward. Marking the center lines so they line up with the ladder and the mold. I understand why they want you to put a brace. Well, I guess they just don't want it falling over when you're really tweaking. Checking the plans. Then you cut the transoms out with different angles on each part of the bow and stern. I just use a circular saw and real nice blade, and very carefully cut the angles. Now we're lining up the bottom with the center lines.
I think it's kind of like
and just checking to make sure everything looks copacetic. This is a Kume, Sapile, or Marante. That needs to be a marine plywood if you're
too small.
You can afford it. If you're not going to glass it. Here we're putting down the molds for bending the center frame and the stem of the boat around, because they're laminated with 1/8 inch thick strips of Douglas fir. And they have to be an 1/8 inch, we found, to bend. If they're any thicker, it's pretty hard to bend them. And try to pick out some nice wood for this. Something with some fairly vertical grain and will bend nice. Those holes are for putting the clamps in once you get it bent around. And we put duct tape on the edges so it won't stick to the mold. Here we are dry fitting it, just figuring out how it's going to go once we get the glue all over everything. And that's important in every step of this project, is to dry fit everything before you put any glue on or mix any glue. That way you kind of know how it's going to go and what you're going to be up against when you got glue all over your hands. Still dry fitting.
What we'll do is tap that down.
Yeah, that's a little different when there's glue all over everything, because it splatters all over you. We're dry fitting the stem now, because we don't have gloves on. So now we're getting ready to glue.
Everybody's walking around like this with their nose on.
Get on your safety gear, especially if you got your good clothes on.
Glue in between the
Wait,
layers.
how's
like a
Layla over here?
sandwich.
Yeah, we laid glue between every layer and bent it around, clamped it, wedged it, jumped on it. With epoxy you don't have to have as much clamping pressure, but you don't want any big gaps. Just want everything snug at least. And then it turned out beautiful when we pulled it off and cut the shape from our plan, which basically we laid the plans on top of whatever we needed to cut out, and took a punch or a pin and marked the critical points, and then connected them, and then cut them out, and then laid them back on the plans to check them to make sure they were good. So we didn't loft anything. It was all done for you, which made it real handy.
Yeah. I think we gotta come over a little bit though.
There was a little thinking involved, and you had to double check the stem because one part of the stem has a curve in it, and you think it's a straight line from point to point, but it actually is a slight curve, so we had to recut the stem. Which made it just slightly thinner. Oh, this is a Reed and Prince bit. When you get your bronze screws, they're not Phillips. They're Reed and Prince, which is a special 45-degree angled bit. And you'll probably strip them out if you try to use a Phillips bit, so be careful. Here's the stem all glued to the transom and ready to go in place. And it sits in the notch. There's the center frame that we laminated up and cut our limber holes in. And everything looks lined up, so we start gluing the bottom and the planks on that I had cut out. And I just used a circular saw with a real fine blade to cut all the planks out too. It just seemed to do a lot cleaner job than a jigsaw.
Yeah. If you take that and just scratch all that up. Yeah, just take it.
And you can cut curves with a circular saw. Just make sure you set the depth. Don't leave it real deep. And here it is all glued together. And that went fairly smooth, other than the planing between planks. You have to kind of lay a batten out and don't overplane it. Check it as you go. Because once you plane too much, it's hard you can't add it back on.
Well, anyway, I hope you all enjoy the music, and I'll see you again next week.